Before we begin tonight's stories, I need your help. We're a small channel trying to share important cultural stories with respect and authenticity. Right now, we need to reach 1,000 subscribers. If you appreciate what we do, thoughtful, researched content about Asian paranormal traditions, please hit that subscribe button right now. It's free. It takes 1 second, and it helps us continue this work. Your support means everything. Thank you. Now, tonight's episode is different. We're discussing something deeply personal, something that affects millions of people across Asia and around the world. The spirits of children who were never born. In Japanese, there's a word, Mizuko. It means water child. It refers to souls lost through miscarriage, stillbirth, or abortion. In Buddhist tradition, these souls exist in a liminal state, not quite alive, not quite gone, just waiting, searching for mothers they never knew. In Chinese culture, they're called Ying Ling, infant ghosts. In Korean Buddhism, Taeryeong. The words are different, but the belief is the same. Unborn children have souls, and sometimes those souls remain. Before we begin, I want to be clear. This episode isn't about judgment. It's not about politics or morality. It's about grief, about loss, about the weight of decisions that stay with us forever, and about the traditions that help people heal. These are 3 real stories, 3 different cities, 3 witnesses who encountered something that shouldn't exist, something that cries in the darkness, something that reaches out with hands that were never born. If this topic is difficult for you, it's okay to stop here. Take care of yourself. But if you stay, I promise we'll handle this with the respect it deserves. Let's begin. Story 1, The Crying Room, March 2009. Kyoto, Japan. Hosenji Temple. Yuki Tanaka was 32 years old. She'd been married for 4 years. She and her husband had been trying to have a baby for 3 years. Last October, it finally happened. Positive test. 8 weeks pregnant. They were overjoyed. Then, at 12 weeks, the bleeding started. The cramping. The ultrasound showed no heartbeat. Miscarriage. Natural causes. Nothing anyone could have done. The doctor was sympathetic. These things happen. 1 in 4 pregnancies. Try again in a few months. But Yuki couldn't stop thinking about it. The baby that almost was. The life that never got to start. She couldn't talk about it with her husband. He'd moved on. "We'll try again," he kept saying. But Yuki wasn't ready. She needed something. Closure. Acknowledgement. Something. Her mother-in-law mentioned Mizuko Kuyo, a memorial service for unborn children. Buddhist temples offer them. It's traditional, respectful. Many women find it helpful. Yuki wasn't particularly religious, but she needed something. So in March, 5 months after the miscarriage, she went to Hosenji Temple in eastern Kyoto, a small temple, quiet, known for their Mizuko Kuyo services. The temple grounds were peaceful, cherry trees just beginning to bloom, stone pathways, and in a corner of the garden, a special area, dozens of small Jizo statues, stone figures of a Buddhist bodhisattva, guardian of children. Each statue was about 30 centimeters tall, dressed in small red bibs and knitted red hats, offerings at their feet, flowers, toys, pinwheels spinning in the wind. Each statue represented a Mizuko, a water child, a life that didn't happen. Yuki had bought a Jizo statue the day before. Small, simple. She'd dressed it in a red bib she'd knitted herself. Brought a small stuffed rabbit to leave as an offering. It felt silly, childish, but also necessary. The ceremony was at 2 p.m. There were 8 other people, 6 women, 2 couples. Nobody made eye contact. Everyone carrying small statues, small offerings, wrapped in quiet grief. The priest was an older man, kind face, soft voice. He led them to a small prayer hall, wooden floors, tatami mats, incense burning. The smell was sweet, calming, almost medicinal. They knelt in a row, statues placed in front of them. The priest began chanting, low, rhythmic. The words washed over Yuki. She didn't understand most of it. Classical Japanese, Buddhist terminology, but the sound was soothing, meditative. Yuki closed her eyes, let the chanting fill her. For the first time in 5 months, she felt something like peace. Then she heard it, a baby crying, faint, distant, but clear. A newborn's cry, that distinctive sound, urgent, needy, alive. Yuki opened her eyes, looked around. The other people were still kneeling, eyes closed, listening to the chant. Nobody reacted. The priest continued without pause, but the crying was getting louder, closer. Yuki looked at the woman next to her, older, maybe 45, still kneeling, eyes closed, tears running down her face, but not reacting to the crying. Couldn't she hear it? The crying was right outside now, in the garden, just beyond the door. A baby, crying, desperate. Yuki stood up. The priest's eyes opened. He looked at her, not angry, not surprised, just sad. Very, very sad. Please sit, he said quietly. It's okay. But there's a baby, Yuki said, outside, crying. The priest shook his head gently. There are no babies here, only us. Please, sit. But the crying was so clear, so loud. How could nobody else hear it? Yuki moved toward the door. The priest didn't stop her, just watched, still sad. She slid the door open. The garden was empty, just stone paths, Jizo statues, cherry blossoms. No baby, no crying, but she could still hear it, even louder now, right in front of her, but nothing was there. Then she felt it, something touching her hand, small, warm, like tiny fingers wrapping around her index finger, the way a newborn grips your finger, that instinctive reflex. Yuki looked down. Her hand was empty, nothing there, but she could feel it, small fingers, holding on, and the crying stopped. Just silence, and that small, warm pressure on her finger. Yuki stood there, hand empty, but feeling those fingers, and something broke inside her. 5 months of holding it together, of being strong, of moving on. It all collapsed. She started crying, not quiet tears, deep sobs, her whole body shaking. And through her tears, she whispered, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I wanted you. I wanted you so much. The pressure on her finger tightened, just for a moment, then slowly released and was gone. Yuki stood in the garden, hand empty, crying. The priest came up behind her, didn't touch her, just stood nearby. They come to the ceremonies, he said quietly, the Mizuko, to see their mothers, to know they're remembered, that they mattered. Was it real? Yuki asked. Did I really feel? Does it matter? The priest asked gently. You felt what you needed to feel. You said what you needed to say. That's what the ceremony is for. Yuki placed her Jizo statue in the garden with the others, dozens of them, each one representing a life that never was, a child who never got to be held, to be named, to be known. She left the stuffed rabbit at the statue's feet, bowed, and whispered one more time, thank you for trying, even if it was only for 12 weeks. Thank you. Yuki comes back to Hosenji Temple every March. It's been 16 years now. She and her husband have 2 children, a daughter born in 2011, a son born in 2014. Beautiful, healthy, loved. But every March, Yuki visits that first Jizo statue, the one in the red bib. She brings fresh flowers, a new toy, and she kneels there for a few minutes, remembering the child who never was, the baby who only existed for 12 weeks, but who mattered, who will always matter. And sometimes, when the wind blows just right, she hears it again. Faint, distant, a baby's cry, but not sad anymore, not desperate, just there, just letting her know. I'm okay. You can let me go. I'm okay. That was Kyoto, 2009. Yuki's story is one of millions. Across Asia, women visit temples, light incense, place offerings, for babies who never were, for lives that ended before they began. Before we continue to our second story, I want to ask you something. If you're finding value in these stories, if you appreciate the respectful way we're handling this difficult topic, please help us reach 1,000 subscribers. We're creating thoughtful content about important cultural traditions, content that educates while it shares. Hit that subscribe button. It's free, and it tells us that these stories matter, that you want more. Thank you. Now, let's continue. From Japan to Hong Kong, where a nurse working the night shift discovered that some cries don't stop just because the babies are gone. Story 2, The Closed Wing, August 2015, Hong Kong, Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Lai Mei-ling had been a nurse for 11 years, 8 of those years in the maternity ward. She'd delivered hundreds of babies, seen births, deaths, miracles, tragedies. She thought she'd seen everything. The maternity ward was on the 7th floor, but due to budget cuts and renovations, the hospital had closed the 8th floor. The old maternity wing, the nursery, the recovery rooms, everything shut down, moved to the 7th floor. The 8th floor had been empty for 3 months. Mei-ling worked the night shift, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. August nights were hot, humid. The hospital's air conditioning struggled. Most nights were quiet, a few births, mostly sleeping mothers and newborns. It was 2:30 a.m., Tuesday. Mei-ling was at the nurse's station doing paperwork. One of the other nurses, Susan, was doing rounds. The floor was quiet, just the hum of machines, the occasional baby fussing, normal night sounds. Then Mei-ling heard it, crying, but not from the 7th floor, from above, from the 8th floor, the closed wing, a baby crying, clear, loud, desperate. Mei-ling looked up at the ceiling. The crying continued, muffled, but distinct, a newborn's cry. Susan came back to the nurse's station. Do you hear that? The crying? Mei-ling asked. It's coming from upstairs, Susan said, from the 8th floor. They both knew the 8th floor was empty, locked, no patients, no staff, just empty rooms waiting for renovation. Maybe it's echo, Mei-ling said, sound traveling through the vents. But the crying didn't sound like an echo. It sounded direct, above them, in the closed wing. We should check, Susan said. They took the stairs. The 8th floor door was locked. Chains on the handles, yellow tape. No entry, renovation zone. But the crying was louder now, definitely coming from inside. Mei-ling used her master key. The chain stayed on, but she could open the door a crack, enough to see inside. The hallway was dark, emergency exit lights only, casting everything in dim red, and the crying was so loud now. Multiple babies, all crying at once, coming from the nursery at the end of the hall. This doesn't make sense, Susan whispered. There's nobody up here. Mei-ling's hands were shaking. We need to call security. But before they could move, the crying stopped, all at once, like someone flipped a switch. Complete silence. They stood there, door open a crack, staring into the dark hallway, neither one speaking. Then from the darkness came a different sound. Footsteps, small, quick, like a child running, but heavier. Multiple sets, running down the hallway toward them. The footsteps got closer, closer, but they couldn't see anything. Just the empty, dark hallway and those running footsteps. Susan slammed the door shut, locked it. They both backed away. The footsteps reached the door, stopped. Then came the scratching. Small hands on the other side of the door, scratching, frantic, like children trying to get out. And then the crying started again, right on the other side of the door. So loud, so close. Dozens of babies, all crying, all at once. Mei Ling ran. Susan followed, down the stairs, back to the 7th floor. The crying faded behind them, but didn't stop. They went straight to the head nurse, told her what happened. She didn't believe them, said they were tired, overworked, hearing things. But when she checked the duty log, she went pale. Who opened the 8th floor? I did, Mei Ling said. I have a master key. The log says the 8th floor as it was accessed at 2:31 a.m., the head nurse said. Your key, but it also shows the floor was accessed at 2:35 a.m., 2:40 a.m., 2:43 a.m., 4 times, all while you were both standing here. Mei Ling's blood went cold. That's impossible. We came straight down. The head nurse pulled up the security footage. The 8th floor had one camera in the main hallway, pointing at the nurse's station and nursery door. She fast-forwarded to 2:30 a.m. The hallway was dark, empty. Then, at 2:31, the stairwell door opened. Mei Ling and Susan peered in. The nursery door at the end of the hall was closed. At 2:35, the nursery door opened by itself, slowly, and something came out. Multiple somethings. The footage was dark, grainy, but there were shapes, small, moving, crawling across the floor, toward the camera, toward the door where Mei Ling and Susan were standing. At 2:40, the shapes reached the door. The angle was wrong. You couldn't see the door itself, just the hallway, but the shapes were there, right at the door, where Mei Ling and Susan had been standing. At 2:43, the shapes turned around, crawled back toward the nursery. The door closed, and the hallway was empty again. The 3 nurses watched the footage in silence. The shapes were small, about the size of infants, moving on their own. No adults, no people, just those shapes, crawling. What are they? Susan whispered. The head nurse didn't answer. She just closed the laptop, hands shaking. You didn't see this, she said quietly. Neither of you. This footage doesn't exist. We're going to delete it, and you're both going to forget this happened. But Mei Ling started. Listen to me, the head nurse said. Her voice was hard now, sharp. The 8th floor was the old termination wing before 2010. Before they moved those procedures to the private clinic, women came here for abortions, for years, hundreds, maybe thousands, all on the 8th floor. She paused, looked at both of them. Nobody wants to talk about it. It's not in the official records, not in the hospital history, but everyone who worked here before 2010 knows. That's why they closed it. That's why the renovation has been delayed 3 times. That's why no construction crew will work up there. Because of the crying, Mei Ling said quietly. The head nurse nodded. The crying, the footsteps, the shapes. Call it what you want. Ghosts, Mizuko, Ying Ling, or call it guilt, collective guilt, seeping into the walls. But whatever it is, it's not stopping. And the hospital board's solution is to ignore it. Lock the floor. Never talk about it. Wait until enough time passes and everyone forgets. But they're still there, Susan said. Whatever they are. Yes, the head nurse said. They're still there. And based on that footage, they're not leaving. So we're going to lock that door, delete this footage, and pray that door stays locked. She stood up. You're both getting the rest of the week off, paid. Go home, rest, forget this happened. And when you come back, you're transferring to different floors. No arguments. Mei Ling never worked obstetrics again. She transferred to oncology. Different floor. Different kinds of death. She doesn't like to talk about what happened. When asked, she just says she needed a change. But late at night, sometimes, she wakes up. And in that space between sleep and waking, she hears it. The crying, faint, distant, coming from above, always from above. And she wonders how many of them are up there, on that closed 8th floor, crying in the darkness, crawling through empty halls, looking for something, someone, anything. The hospital never finished the renovation. The 8th floor is still closed, still locked, still waiting. And according to night shift workers, on quiet nights, if you stand on the 7th floor and listen carefully, you can hear them, the babies who never were, still crying, still searching, still trapped on a floor that nobody wants to remember. That was Hong Kong, 2015, a closed wing, a locked floor, and crying that never stops. From Japan to Hong Kong, the pattern is the same. These spirits remain, searching, unable to move forward. But in Taiwan, a doctor discovered something even more disturbing. These spirits don't just cry. Sometimes they watch, and sometimes they choose. Story 3, The Ultrasound Face. June 2017. Taipei, Taiwan. Women's Health Clinic. Dr. Chen Wei had been an OB/GYN for 15 years. He'd performed thousands of ultrasounds. Routine procedure. Place gel on abdomen. Move the transducer. Watch the screen. Measure the fetus. Check development. Print images. Done. He worked at a private clinic in Da'an district. They offered full obstetric services, prenatal care, delivery, and when necessary, pregnancy terminations. Legal in Taiwan under certain circumstances. Dr. Chen didn't particularly enjoy that part of his job, but he understood. Sometimes it was necessary. Medical reasons, personal reasons. It wasn't his place to judge. It was a Tuesday morning. His first appointment was at 9 a.m. Woman in her early 30s, Chen Xiaomei, 12 weeks pregnant, first trimester screening, standard procedure. Dr. Chen prepared the ultrasound machine. Xiaomei lay on the examination table, nervous, first pregnancy. She and her husband had been trying for 2 years. This won't hurt, Dr. Chen said warmly. Just cold gel. You'll feel the transducer moving, and then you'll see your baby. He applied the gel, placed the transducer on her abdomen. The screen flickered, and there it was, a small form. 12 weeks, about the size of a plum. Heart beating, moving slightly. Perfect. Everything looks good, Dr. Chen said. Would you like to hear the heartbeat? He turned on the audio. The fast, rhythmic whooshing filled the room. Xiaomei started crying, happy tears. That's my baby, she whispered. Dr. Chen smiled. This was his favorite part of the job. The joy, the wonder, new life. He took measurements, checked the development, everything normal. He started to print the images for Xiaomei to take home. Then he saw it, in the corner of the ultrasound screen, in the dark area, outside the fetus. A face, clear, distinct, a baby's face, eyes closed, peaceful. But it wasn't the fetus. The fetus was in the center of the screen. This was different, separate, just a face, floating in the darkness. Dr. Chen froze, stared at the screen. The face was so clear, so detailed, impossible to be a shadow or artifact. It looked real, like an actual baby. But it was outside the womb. In the amniotic fluid? No, that didn't make sense. He moved the transducer. The face stayed on the screen, following, always in the same position, always in the corner, always watching. Is something wrong? Xiao Mei asked. She couldn't see the screen from her angle. No, Dr. Chen said quickly. Everything's fine. Just checking something. He took screenshots of the ultrasound, including the face in the corner, then finished the examination. Gave Xiao Mei her printed images, carefully selecting ones without the face visible. She left happy, excited. Dr. Chen sat in his office, staring at the screenshots. The face was there, in every image. Same position, same expression, eyes closed, peaceful, like a baby sleeping. He told himself it was a technical glitch, artifact, shadow, something. He'd worked with ultrasound machines for 15 years, never seen anything like this, but there had to be an explanation. His next appointment was at 10:30 a.m. Different patient, Lin Fang, 22 years old, 8 weeks pregnant, unplanned. She'd come in to discuss her options. She was leaning toward termination, not ready, still in school, no support system. Dr. Chen performed the ultrasound, 8 weeks, very small, just a gestational sac, embryo barely visible, but developing normally. And there, in the corner of the screen, the face, the same face, eyes closed, watching. Dr. Chen's hands shook. He moved the transducer. The face followed, always in the corner, always watching. Lin Fang couldn't see the screen. She was looking at the ceiling, nervous. How does it look? She asked quietly. Dr. Chen didn't answer right away. He was staring at the face. It was identical to the face from Xiao Mei's ultrasound. Same features, same expression. Impossible. It's developing normally, Dr. Chen said finally. About 8 weeks. Would you like to see? Lin Fang shook her head. No, I don't want to see. I've already decided. I'm going through with the termination. Dr. Chen nodded, ended the ultrasound, but he took screenshots. The face was there, in the corner, watching. Over the next 2 weeks, Dr. Chen performed 17 ultrasounds, different patients, different stages of pregnancy, 6 to 24 weeks, and in 13 of them, the face appeared, always in the corner, always the same face, always watching. But there was a pattern. The face only appeared in ultrasounds for patients considering termination, women who were unsure, who had scheduled consultations, who were weighing options. The face never appeared for women who were excited, who wanted their babies, who were planning nurseries and picking names, only for the ones who were uncertain, who were afraid, who were considering letting go. Dr. Chen became obsessed. He researched ultrasound artifacts, technical glitches, shadow patterns. Nothing matched. He consulted colleagues, showed them the images. They were disturbed, confused. No one had an explanation. Then, in the 3rd week, something changed. One of the patients, Lin Fang, the 22-year-old, came back. She'd been scheduled for termination the previous day, but she didn't show up. She sat in Dr. Chen's office, eyes red, like she'd been crying for days. I couldn't do it, she said quietly. I tried. I went to the clinic, filled out the paperwork, but when I was lying on the table, waiting, I saw something. What did you see? Dr. Chen asked. A baby, standing next to the table, just watching me, about 2 or 3 years old, clear as day, looking right at me. And I knew, I don't know how, but I knew. It was my baby. The baby I was about to. I couldn't go through with it. Dr. Chen felt cold. What did the baby look like? Lin Fang pulled out her phone, showed him a photo. A child, about 3 years old, face clear, and it was the same face. The face from the ultrasounds. Older, but unmistakably the same. "I drew this from memory," Lin Fang said, after I saw it. "Is this crazy? Am I losing my mind?" Dr. Chen looked at the drawing, then at his screenshots. The face was identical. "No," he said quietly. "You're not crazy." He told her about the ultrasounds, the face appearing in the corner, only for certain patients, only for women considering termination. He showed her the screenshots. Lin Fang stared at the images, tears running down her face. "It's the same," she whispered. "It's the same baby." Over the next 6 months, Dr. Chen documented the pattern. The face appeared in 43 ultrasounds, 43 women considering termination. And of those 43, 39 changed their minds, decided to continue the pregnancy. Some said they had dreams, saw a child watching them, felt something change inside them. Others just felt certain, suddenly, unquestionably, that they needed to keep the baby. 4 women went through with the termination, and according to follow-up appointments, all 4 experienced complications. 2 physical, 2 psychological. All 4 reported seeing the face. In reflections, in windows, in photographs. The baby they didn't keep. Watching, always watching. Dr. Chen stopped performing termination consultations, referred patients elsewhere. He couldn't handle it anymore. The face, the pattern, the weight of knowing. But late at night sometimes he wonders, was it real? Was there actually a spirit appearing in his ultrasound machine, watching, choosing, influencing decisions? Or was it something else? Unconscious bias? His own discomfort with terminations somehow affecting the images, the patients picking up on his hesitation and changing their minds. He doesn't know, can't know, but he kept all the screenshots, 43 images, 43 ultrasounds, 43 times the face appeared, always in the corner, always watching, always the same face, the face of a child who was never born, but who, according to some belief systems, existed anyway, waiting, watching, hoping to be chosen, to be given life, to be kept, to be born. Dr. Chen still works in obstetrics, but he switched clinics, different machine, different location. The face hasn't appeared again. Not once, not in 3 years, but he can't forget it. And late at night, when he reviews ultrasound images, he always checks the corners, just in case, just to see if the face is there, still watching, still waiting, still hoping. Those were 3 stories: Kyoto, Hong Kong, Taipei. 3 different witnesses, but the same phenomenon. Spirits of children who were never born, crying, searching, watching. Whether you believe these spirits are real or metaphorical, the grief is real, the loss is real. And across Asia, traditions like Mizuko exist to acknowledge that loss, to provide closure, to help people heal. These ceremonies aren't about judgment. They're about compassion, about acknowledging that loss in any form matters, that it's okay to grieve, that it's healthy to remember. If you've experienced pregnancy loss, please know you're not alone. Your grief is valid. Your loss matters, and there's no right way to heal. For some, rituals help. For others, time. For others, therapy. Whatever path you take, be gentle with yourself. Now, before we end, I need to ask for your help one more time. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. We create thoughtful, researched content about Asian paranormal traditions, stories told with respect, with cultural context, with care. If you appreciate what we do, please subscribe. Please share this video. Please help us reach that goal. These stories deserve to be told, and we can't do it without your support. What do you think happened in these 3 stories? Real spirits? Psychological phenomena? Cultural metaphor? Let us know in the comments below. We read every comment. We appreciate every thoughtful discussion. Thank you for watching. Thank you for approaching this difficult topic with us. Thank you for being here. Until next week, take care of yourselves. And remember, every life matters, even the ones that never were.